Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers and build custom software solutions. I do a lot of work as a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology, teams, and products. So today I want to dive into how I would approach learning to code if I had to start all over again from scratch. So with everything that I've learned in the last 25 years, this is the path that I take to become a rock star developer in today's landscape. So let's dive into it today. All right, so let's dig into this topic today. This is a fun one because I have a lot of people who come to me and are like, I want to get into technology, I want to get into software development, but I don't know where to start, right? So if I had to start over, the very first thing that I would do is focus on developing problem-solving skills. Yep, that's right. Coding is actually like the secondary part of this. Coding is more than just writing lines of code. It's about solving real-world problems. Whether you're building an app or debugging a tricky issue, problem solving is at the heart of every task. I wouldn't rush into learning syntax or frameworks. People come and are like, all right, do I learn React? Do I learn, Instead, I'd train myself to break down problems, think logically, and develop strategies for tackling complex tasks. Once you've got that down, the coding part will become much easier. In fact, one of the big things that I work with on junior developers all the time is they're like, man, I've written all this code, it's not working. And I'll be like, whoa, stop, take the problem, break it down, right? Let's break it down into smaller issues. Okay, does this part work? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, let's get that. Like, it's just, and this is a pattern that I find repeatedly with a lot of junior devs. So this is something that I would definitely work on first. And it's part of the reason that a lot of junior coding tools for like elementary level kids who want to learn to code are built with like drag and drop small components, right? Because learning to break down these problems is really one of the very first steps. Now, the next thing I'd do is I'd pick up a programming language and then I'd really stick with one programming language until I'm comfortable with it. Jumping between languages too soon can be a huge recipe for confusion. So for me today, I would definitely start with C#. It's been around for C# and .NET have been around for over 22 years. It's beginner friendly, it's versatile, and especially with a lot of the newer coding, minimal APIs and things like that, it's really easy to start with, much easier than it was even 20 years ago when I started. Now, it's beginner friendly, it's versatile, and it's widely used in everything from web development into a lot of different corporate applications, and now even into using AI with it. Now, mastering one language will give you the confidence to explore others later. So once you understand one language, learning another language becomes more about grasping different syntaxes than learning entirely new concepts. So trust me, focus here is really the key. Don't worry about trying to learn every coding language first. Now, again, if I had to start from scratch, I'd make sure I'd learn a version control really early, specifically Git. When I first started, managing code changes was much more chaotic, but today, version control is a must-have skill. Git helps you track changes, collaborate with others, and avoid the dreaded, well, it worked yesterday scenario. So once you've got the hang of it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. And hey, it's one of those skills that you can look like a pro really early on. I remember I hired a junior developer who knew Git like a pro right away. And one, it was really impressive. And two, it gave him an extra edge really fast. He actually knew Git a lot better than some of my more mid-level developers. So I remember a junior helping a mid-level developer untangle a Git commit. So one of the best ways to do this is go back and check out our previous coding samples, because we have hundreds of free coding samples, and I did a whole series on how to use Git. So it's totally free. Go pull this down. It has all free code samples and everything. So check out my previous code videos. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel, then do that. And best compliment I always get is leaving a comment down below. Now, here's the next thing that I would hit into. And something I wish I'd been trained, something I wish I'd done more when I'd started, was building projects early and often. Tutorials are great, but if you're only following tutorials, you're going to hit a ceiling really fast. Start on a project, and this project will give you the freedom to make mistakes, solve the problems, break down the problems, and learn by doing it. So start small. Just start with something really simple website, simple to-do app, but do it again in that framework that we originally talked about. So like C# or whatever that first programming language is that you learn. And then as you gain confidence, you can increase the complexity of your projects. Real coding experience comes from hitting roadblocks and figuring out how to overcome them, not from watching someone else code. It's part of the reason, even when I get errors and stuff in my coding samples, I don't always pause or edit them out, because I want junior developers to see that even as a senior, you hit roadblocks, you hit errors, and then you got to see how to work through them. So I actually leave those in my coding samples on purpose. Now, another skill that I would learn to prioritize is how to Google effectively. And this goes for using ChatGPT as well, right? So how to Google and use ChatGPT effectively. Now, this isn't a joke. This is actually a superpower in coding. You're not going to know everything, and that's okay. So knowing how and where to ask, and then how to take that and put it back into your code. I see too many people who copy and paste straight out of Google, or who copy and paste straight out of ChatGPT and think that's going to work for them. It's going to create bugs. It's going to cause problems. So know how to take that, learn from those answers, because nobody knows everything, again. So it's okay to go look for those answers, but know how to take those and then plug them into your code. So the important thing is to knowing how to search for the solutions, how to read documentation, how to leverage community resources like Stack Overflow. Then the ability to find these answers, understand them, and then integrate them into your code. It's not about memorizing everything. It's knowing about how and where to look and how to learn. All right, the next one. If I could go back, I'd focus on learning how to make sure that you write really good test frameworks and how to write tools. Writing code is one thing, but writing code that works reliably under all conditions is another. Testing is how you ensure your code works, stays working, and doesn't break something else down the line. So as with unit tests, integration tests, and then even like some test harness and some tools that you use these tools and build tools. It's okay to take time to build a series of tools to test something, right? That can become a huge pro. The gaming community is a big example of this, right? In the gaming community, they'll spend a huge portion of the time building tools to help them be more productive to actually build the code or test, etc. And that's a really big part of this, right? So take some examples from that. Now, if you're wondering how to do that, go back and check out our previous code samples, because we have hundreds of free code samples here at startuphack.com. So make sure that you like and follow and subscribe to our channel. So next thing that I wish I'd known sooner is that debugging is not a sign of failure. It's part of the job. So when you're starting out, it's easy to get discouraged when you write this beautiful piece of code and it doesn't work. But let me tell you, debugging is where the magic happens. It's where you truly learn how your code works or doesn't work. Every error is an opportunity to understand the inner workings of your program and your programming language and its stack. So embrace the bugs. They're your best teachers. All right, next thing that I'd focus on is learning simple data structures early on, like arrays, lists, stacks, and queues. Understanding these fundamentals will make learning more complex concepts later on much easier. Data structures are the building blocks of programming. Linus Torvalds, who is pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, one of the biggest minds in computing, has said that focusing on data structures in your application is the most important thing. So once you understand how to use data structures effectively, you'll be able to solve more complex problems with less effort. Don't skip over these. It's foundational to become a strong developer. Now, again, you're going to look at the data structures that are important to your foundation. So if you're starting with .NET, you're going to want to look at how to use lists, how to use a dictionary, some of these basic data structures that you're going to use over and over again, right? And so you really want to make sure you understand these, but those will also translate into other languages. So how to do data structures is really critically important and definitely something I would start learning on. All right. And by the way, if you're listening, I would love to hear what your guys' comments are and your thoughts are as far as what are some of the things that you would focus on. Now, if I started over, I'd get comfortable with the command line right from the start. I see way too many people who are GUIs this, GUIs that, and they're great. They're good time savers. I'm not saying that we should always be using the command line. GUIs are great, but the command line will give you much more control and flexibility. Plus, it's way faster for many tasks once you know the commands. So from navigating directories to running scripts, mastering the command line is one of these skills that will make you more efficient and confident as a developer. Another really important place to learn this is I know a lot of people use different Git tools, whether they're using Git through Visual Studio or VS Code, whether they're using a GUI tool for Git. And I get that that will save you a ton of time, but understanding what Git is doing and understanding the command line to it is really pretty critical to understanding Git. So like Git's a really great example where like, man, bust out into the command line. One, you'll look cool. that's why we do it, right? No, really, it's because underneath everything is the command line, right? Even if you're using something, a tool for like Postman, something like that, underneath Postman is curl, right? Learn how to use curl at the command line. The sooner you learn these things, the more productive you'll be. And so you can also, and so that's a really important one to start with. Now, once I've mastered the basics, then I'd start diving into some frameworks. Frameworks are fantastic for speeding up development and simplifying tasks, but they can also be super overwhelming at first. So if you don't have a good solid foundation in some of the basics, the frameworks are going to really throw you off. So whether it's React or Angular or any other framework that you're working with, make sure that you focus. You definitely want to start learning frameworks. It's important, and make sure you use ones that are widely used in the industry and that align with the long-term goals. But remember, don't run before you can walk. The basics will come first. Now, this one might surprise you, but coding isn't just about code. I know, shocker alert, right? Communication, teamwork, and problem solving are just as important. Learn how to keep a positive attitude even if you have a disagreement. If I were starting over again, I would prioritize learning how to work effectively in a team, how to communicate technical concepts to non-technical stakeholders, and how to think critically about the problems I'm solving. Developers with solid soft skills stand out, and trust me, companies value that a lot. So don't just focus on the keyboard. Develop your people skills too. All right, last one we're going to cover today. And again, I'd love to hear from you guys out there. So make sure you drop in what your favorite ones are. If you, either of these that are your favorites, or if there's others that you have that you would focus on if you were starting over. But the last one I'm going to work on here is the lesson I carry with me is to never stop learning. Technology is always changing, and what's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow. So stay curious, be willing to learn new technologies, frameworks, and tools, and never assume you've made it. The best developers are the ones who keep pushing themselves, keep growing, and never stop learning. Remember, coding is a journey, not a destination. All right, so learning to code today isn't just about picking up languages. It's about mastering problem solving, focusing on fundamentals, and continuously growing. So if I'd start over, I'd focus on building real-world projects, learning to debug like a pro, and prioritize both hard and soft skills. Stay curious, stay focused, and don't forget that learning to code is much about the journey as it is about the destination. You never really reach the destination as an amazing developer. You're always getting better. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I really love having a great discussion. So make sure to leave a comment down below and make sure to like and subscribe. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps and to build custom software solutions for folks. We also do custom consulting, so make sure you reach out because we'd love to help. Hit the links down below or check out startuphack.com/Spencer today. Also, make sure that you go back and check out our previous videos because we have hundreds of free coding samples out there with free downloads, free as in free. So make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel because we bring you lots of great tutorials and tips that every developer should know. See you next time.